Have you ever wondered why our actions and reactions are as they are? Do you think they are deliberate or conditioned? This brings us to the intriguing subject of conditioned reflexes, the subtle puppeteer behind our daily behaviors. Nestled within this realm is the classic study of Pavlov's dogs, a fundamental experiment that has shaped our understanding of human and animal behavior. Today we dive into the fascinating world of Pavlov's dogs and explore the lessons we can draw from this captivating experiment. In the late 19th century, a Russian physiologist named Ivan Pavlov discovered something remarkable. Pavlov was studying the digestive system of dogs when he stumbled upon a phenomenon that would change the field of psychology: conditioned reflexes. Now let's dive into the experiment. Pavlov started by presenting food to the dogs. Naturally, the sight and smell of the food made the dogs salivate. This is an unconditioned response. It's innate, not something learned. The dogs didn't have to think about it. Their bodies just reacted. But Pavlov decided to add a twist. He introduced a neutral stimulus, a bell, which by itself meant nothing to the dogs. He began ringing this bell just before presenting the food. After repeating this process several times, Pavlov noticed something interesting. The dogs began to salivate at the sound of the bell, even when no food was presented. This was a conditioned response. The dogs had been trained to associate the bell with food. This experiment showed that behavior could be altered through association, a concept Pavlov called conditioned reflexes. It was a revolutionary idea suggesting that many of our behaviors are not purely instinctual, but can be learned and modified over time. This groundbreaking discovery was not just about dogs and bells. It was about the fundamental workings of our mind and behavior, and it paved the way for further exploration into the intriguing world of human psychology. But what does a century-old experiment about dogs have to do with our lives today? Well, the implications of Pavlov's work extend far beyond a simple bell ringing at mealtime for a group of dogs. His discovery of classical conditioning has drastically reshaped our understanding of human behavior and the nature of learning itself. Every day, we are surrounded by conditioned responses, often without even realizing it. The sound of an alarm clock, for instance, can make us jolt awake, our bodies automatically responding to the signal that it's time to start the day. The sight of a red traffic light prompts us to step on the brakes, a conditioned response ingrained in us through repeated experience. Even our emotions can be conditioned. The smell of a particular perfume might evoke memories of a loved one, stirring feelings of warmth and affection. This understanding of conditioned responses has profound implications. It tells us that our behaviors and habits aren't just products of our conscious decisions. Instead, they're often formed and shaped by our environment and experiences, by the associations we've learned to make over time. Moreover, understanding classical conditioning can help us change unhelpful behaviors and develop healthier habits. By consciously creating new associations, we can train ourselves to react differently to certain triggers, much like Pavlov's dogs learned to associate the sound of a bell with food. Pavlov's dogs is a stark reminder that much of our behavior is learned and conditioned, not innate. So, what can we learn from Pavlov's dogs? Pavlov's experiment underscores the potency of conditioning, a force that shapes our habits and behaviors more than we often realize. Whether it's a morning coffee habit or an evening jog, our lives are filled with conditioned responses. Understanding this power, we can begin to harness it, steering our routines towards healthier, more productive paths. In the grand scheme of things, we are all Pavlov's dogs in some way or another. The challenge lies in recognizing our conditioning and using it to our advantage.